The audience to know this meeting is being recorded. And April, could I have you call roll?
Chair Eggline,
Here.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Present.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Here.
Ms. Beckwith, absent, Mr. Top.
Here.
We do have a quorum with 4 members present.
Is there meeting minutes? Mr. Top, did you read those?
Yes, I have reviewed the meeting minutes. I'll make a motion to pass the meeting minutes approve the meeting minutes from the February 3rd, 2026 meeting.
I'll second. Okay, any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Right? Is all the applicants present?
Yes,
Okay.
all applicants are present.
Thank you. Will you present our first one, please?
Good evening, Chair and board members. This evening we have 3 variance applications. But before we get into those, I will go over the variance review criteria. Pursuant to section 1155C of City Code, to approve a requested variance for a new building or portion thereof, the Board of Adjustment shall consider the following standards and find as follows. Variance will not create a significant risk to the public health, safety, or general welfare. The variance will not significantly reduce or impair the peaceful use of existing property or improvements in the vicinity in the zoning district in which the subject property is located, and strict compliance with the provisions of this title would create unnecessary hardship or practical difficulty. In evaluating the standards in C above, the Board of Adjustment may consider the following factors: special conditions and circumstances that are unique to the applicant's site, including the size of the property, unusual or extreme topography, or unusual shape of the property, the height, location, or dimensions of existing structures located on the site or in the vicinity of the site, whether there is a prevalence of nonconformities in the vicinity of the site that are similar to the variance requested, the subsequent imposition of zoning restrictions created nonconforming lots or parcels, and the governmental actions beyond the applicant's control, whether a literal interpretation of the provisions of this title would deprive the property owner of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties similarly situated in the same district under the terms of this title, the extent to which the hardship or difficulty results from the actions of the applicant, and whether granting the variance requested will confer an unreasonable special privilege to the subject property that is not available to other properties similarly located in the same zoning district. Section 1155F of City Code states the following: the Board of Adjustment may impose conditions to minimize adverse impacts that the variance may have on public health, safety, or general welfare. Any approval that includes conditions is subject to the terms of the conditions. Conditions stated in the approval may include, but are not limited to, a time period in which the proposed structure shall be completed and other conditions necessary to mitigate adverse effects from the variance. It is the recommendation of the City Attorney's Office that staff does not make a recommendation to approve or deny a variance. Montana law states the Board of Adjustment has authority to consider upon appeal in specific cases such variance from the terms of the ordinance as will not be contrary to the public interest, where owing to special conditions, a literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance will result in unnecessary hardship, and so that the spirit of the ordinance shall be observed and substantial justice done. 762323 Montana Code Annotated. If the Board of Adjustment approves the requested variances, the following conditions are recommended. A building permit must be obtained within 1 year. So the first item this evening is 105 North Warren Street. And this has three variances: consideration of a variance from section 1142 to reduce the front lot line setback along the western property boundary from 10 feet to 2 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at 105 North Warren Street, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-312-460-10000, and the legal description of lots 11 in block 39 of the original Helena town site, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the plat filed under document number 3283738. Second variance will be from section 1142 to reduce the front lot line setback along the southern property boundary from 10 feet to 4 feet in an RO zoning district with the aforementioned address, geocode, and legal description. Finally, a variance from section 1142 to reduce the garage entrance setback along the western property boundary from 20 feet to 3 feet in an RO zoning district with the aforementioned address, geocode, and legal description. And the reason for the variance is to construct a new single-family residence. So here's a zoning map showing the location. We're on the corner of Warren Street and Breckenridge, RO zoning. Background of the property: in 1887, the duplex on the parcel was built. However, no building permit was found. In 1999, encroachment agreement for use of alley was approved. 1949 to 2021, there were permits approved for re-roof, MEP systems, installations, and repair. Here we have the proposed site plan. If you do want to take a look at the legend, and then the next slide is enlarged. Essentially, sidewalk is green, parking area is blue. So here we have the home, deck in yellow, parking area in blue. And these are some renderings of the proposed building. This is the most recent plat. And here's the existing site. And here's another image. So surrounding area buildings range from late 1800s to mid 1900s. It's a mixture of residential and commercial and multifamily homes. Sorry, I'm trying to get located here. However, we'll just stick with this and call it good. So the other relevant conditions are the curb cut here that you can see in the top left photo. We have an image on the bottom left showing the distance from the neighboring property. And those are the relevant conditions. And this variance will serve the following purposes: allow the construction of a single-family dwelling, maintain the required off-street parking ratio for the parcel, continue the established design pattern of neighboring properties constructed on or near the front lot line, and support infill development that enables creative housing solutions and denser housing types as encouraged by the new 2025 land use plan. City Department comments: engineering, fire, public works have no comment. Building site plan as reflected complies with the minimum fire separation distance per table R302.11. Fire rated construction for walls, projections, openings, and penetrations would be required if the components are less than the minimum fire separation distance. Transportation has 4 comments here. The proposed plan impedes site distance triangle as referenced in City Code Section 1142B5. Applicant must comply with site distance triangle for an approved building permit. The 20-foot garage door setback variance is not necessarily concerned with the character of the neighborhood, but rather it is to provide off-street parking that is big enough for a vehicle to park out of the right-of-way and not impede the public sidewalk. The applicant must comply with curb cut section of city code when applying for the building permit. And drive approaches must be separated by a 25-foot height curb when it comes to the curb cuts. And as far as planning myself, it does meet the variance application requirements. And the applicant will work with transportation to satisfy the curb cut requirements during the building permit process. As of Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026, one written public comment has been received requesting access to project files and additional information regarding the proposed structure. And motion to approve or deny a variance from section 1142 to reduce the front lot line setback along the western property boundary from 10 feet to 2 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at 105 North Warren Street, Helena, Montana 59601. The geocode of 051-888-312-460-10000 and the legal description of lots 11 and block 39 of the original Helena town site, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the plat filed under document number 3283738. A variance from section 1142 to reduce the front lot line setback along the southern property boundary from 10 feet to 4 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at the aforementioned address, geocode, and legal description. And a variance from section 1142 to reduce the garage entrance setback along the western property boundary from 20 feet to 3 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at the aforementioned address, geocode, and legal description. If the Board of Adjustment approves the request of variances, following condition is recommended. Building permit must be obtained within 1 year. At this time, are there any questions?
Mr. Goodrich, I have a couple questions. First one is one of the reasonings for the variance was related to meeting off-street parking requirements. What is the off-street parking requirement? And can you just kind of explain how they are meeting that or not, if depending on the variance?
Thank you, Chair and Board. Mr. Top, if we go back to the site plan, currently being in the RO zoning district, now that we're adding 2 unit or a single family where there's already a duplex, that makes a total of 3 units on the lot. Therefore, instead of being previously 4 vehicles required for off-street parking, it's now 3, so 1 vehicle per unit. And so with that said, we'll still have 3 parking spots available on street parking. However, there's going to be parking for 2 vehicles in the single family in the parking area.
I guess what I'm asking is if the garage is required to meet the minimum parking requirements for the site.
Mr. Top, the garage will not be required to meet the minimum parking requirements.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Goodrich, I didn't see any photos of garages in the neighborhood in the surrounding area. Are there garages in this condition that are that
Compliant.
already, meet this precedent that they're asking for?
Thank you, Chair and Board. Chair Eggline, I did not see any other garages. However, Transportation pointed out 2 other residential properties that have garages that come over the property line and into the street. However, I do not have any photos of those.
Right, and to be clear, this is an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit on the same site?
It will be a single family unit on the same site. We could also call it an ADU. However,
Okay,
overall,
I'm
there will
just
be 3
curious.
dwelling units on the site.
And that's I'm not familiar with the RO.
Yes, RO allows 3 or more units in its zoning district.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you. I have a couple questions that I think are on the same line. I'm a little confused by the plan and the garage door. That is a garage in the house, or that's the house, and transportation's comments are concerned about not having the right setback before the garage door. Can you explain that in a little more detail, or is it that the opening and the transportation comments on the garage opening? Please.
Chair and board, thanks for the question, Commissioner Gustafson. As far as the garage goes, in the middle of the home, there's essentially intended to be a curb cut that would be cut into the sidewalk there to allow for parking for a vehicle or storage. And that is what the variance specifically is for this garage. And yes, it would be crossing onto the sidewalk and temporarily blocking the right of way as vehicles pull in and out. And that is what transportation was commenting on.
Mr. Goodrich, perhaps showing the 3D model image might help clarify, I think, the question. The garage is underneath on the main level of the residence. And then the residence takes the whole footprint is 2 stories. So.
Thank you. That view is helpful. But then I guess I have a follow-up question on the number of curb cuts and parking requirements. And it sounds like it will all be massaged during the permitting and would be able to meet the requirements and the sightline requirements on the corner.
Commissioner Gustafson, thank you for your question. So when it comes to the building permit, essentially, currently as it stands, the site distance triangle is 50 feet and 50 feet in the uncontrolled intersection. Therefore, there's a line cutting through the home where it will be placed. However, the goal is to request to have a stop sign placed at Breckenridge Street at the corner in order to reduce it to 15 feet. Therefore, with the triangle being 50 feet and 15 feet, that reduces, and the structure will not hit the sight line or site distance triangle. As far as the curb cuts, yes, that was a conversation had with transportation. The curb cuts need to be 25 feet apart on the sidewalk. So with that being said, the curb cut situation will most likely not work with the measurements.
On the 3D image, I see 2 cars parked, one underneath the deck and one next to it. So do we also have a carport next to it? We're creating parking spot on site for 3 vehicles.
Thank you for your question, Chair Eglin. That is correct. The deck will be used as a carport in the parking area, which right now the requirement is 9 by 20 for each vehicle. Which technically with this drawing, it would be 18 would be the minimum. 18 by 20.
Mr. Goodrich, I saw another comment in the report about the building coverage or versus landscaping on the site. Could you discuss that issue or bring us up to speed on that? Does this meet the lot coverage requirements as well, or not?
Thank you for your question, Mr. Top. Are you asking about lot coverage first or both lot coverage and the comment here from building?
I'm not sure where I saw the comment, but I saw something referencing lot coverage as potentially being an issue. And it looks like with where the parking is between the buildings and the building footprints, it'd be pretty tough to meet the lot coverage requirements, especially with the carport there. So I was just curious where they're at on that. No.
So yes, the calculation for lot coverage falls under 60% lot coverage, which is the max for RO zoning district. Compared to what's more typical in R2, which would be 40%. So RO allows for more density.
Okay, so this does meet the 60%.
That's correct.
Okay.
Thank you, Chair. I have one more. To go back to the parking spots and the garage in the structure. I know parking mandates are changing, and so does the garage in the house count for one of the parking spots to meet the requirements, or do the two exterior parking spots meet the requirements for a 3-dwelling property?
Thank you for your question, Commissioner Gustafson. Currently with this design, the parking will be met without the garage in the middle of the home. And if you'd like, I can break down the calculation, which essentially would be one vehicle per dwelling unit, because we're adding the single family. That makes a total of 3 on the parcel as a whole. Therefore, the on-street parking, you're allowed 50%. So technically, if 2 vehicles are able to park on the parking pad, which they are, those will fit. Then you're allowed 2 on-street parking spaces. So at this time with the design, it overshoots what is necessary.
You, the applicant. Thank you for your presentation. The applicant like to present.
Thanks to the board for hearing this.
Would the applicant please come up to the podium?
Thank you to the board for hearing this variance. I'm Chris Dorsey. I'm the owner of the parcel in question. I've lived up in this neighborhood for 45 years and I'll get to build myself a retirement house. So it's a happy thing for me. This is not a huge piece of ground, but looking around the neighborhood, it looks to me like it's large enough to accommodate a home, which fits in with the existing type and character and density of development. I can probably clarify a few questions about the parking and the curb cuts. There are right now, and I think Travis probably can confirm this, there are 4 street parking spaces that are part of that parcel. So all the needs are really met with the street parking. We are adding 2 off-street parking spaces, but neither that nor the garage is required, I believe, to actually meet the parking requirements. The presence of the tuck-under garage will eliminate 1 or 2 spaces depending on how that is placed in the final design, but we'll still meet parking requirements with or without the garage. Your approval of the setbacks, of the variance for the setbacks, will allow construction of a building that probably could not be fit on this parcel otherwise. If you followed the strict guidelines for this parcel, you'd end up with a footprint of about an 18-foot wide building, which by modern standards is not really a building at all. But the presence of the parking underneath it does not really change or stop the design. I have applied with Streets and Transportation for a variance from the site triangle. Well, it's not a variance, a request that there is control installed at that intersection. So right now, there is no control either way on Warren or on Breckenridge. That was the site of the police station for many years, and I think they like the ability to be able to pull out in a hurry out onto Warren Street. So what we're requesting at Transportation, which sounds like a reasonable thing to me thus far, talking to them, will be to install a stop or yield sign at that corner, which allows a different site triangle. I also have a full set of prints if you're interested in looking at the proposed building. We have a preliminary design for that. And I'll stand ready to take any of your questions.
Do you have any site images that show the differences with the site triangles? One with the stop sign and one without?
Chair Glenn, I do not.
There any questions for the applicant?
I don't have any questions.
All right.
Madam Chair, I don't have any questions.
Thank you for your
Very
presentation.
good, thank you.
I am going to, any public comment?
So we have no one online for the record. If anyone in the room would like to make public comment on this item, please come up to the podium now.
I don't see anybody. I'm going to open it for board discussion.
Madam Chair, I'll start. I think originally I was very concerned about the site triangles. I also live in this neighborhood, and I think those uncontrolled intersections are pretty dangerous as they are. Hearing that they do have a plan, possibly to address that and make sure that the building is not in the site triangle, I'm more likely to vote to approve the setbacks. As far as the garage setback, I have more concern about that. I think that's a very dangerous condition for pedestrians and for vehicles. So I'm leaning towards not being likely to approve that due to the safety concern there.
I would second that. I love this project. I love the fill-in aspect. I don't have any problems with the setbacks as far as the building setbacks. We've had a pretty strong tradition in this board that the garage and the parking possibly happening over sidewalks is been held pretty sacred. So for those safety concerns for citizens, so that portion I'm probably not going to vote yes for, unless you can convince me otherwise.
Thank you. I have a process question since I'm new to this. Do we vote on each variant separately? Okay, we do. And so the garage variance is the third one. Okay. Since I'm talking, I'll continue my comments. To echo what's been, I share the concerns about the garage. And it sounds like the garage is maybe not necessary for the parking minimums. And so, and I also had concerns about the number of cutouts on the street, but I enjoy seeing this project as an infill. I think that is a great use of space, and I think it does match the character of the neighborhood, where the buildings are up close to Warren Street. Okay.
Okay, thank you guys. I think we're all on the same page. I do not have an argument for the garage. I'm also concerned about the safety of its placement. So, and the number of curb cuts, and they already have, there's enough parking. So would somebody like to, or move to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll move to make a motion, but I'd like to just clarify something. We'll just do them one by one since we are.
That is correct. Each variance will be a separate motion.
And then on
And we'll take a vote on each one.
okay, and then on item number 3, it would be a motion to deny. Is that correct?
You can make a motion to approve or deny,
Okay, thank you.
depending upon how you feel the variance should be handled.
Okay. I'll move to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to reduce the front lot line setback along the western property boundary from 10 feet to 2 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at 105 North Warren Street, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-312-46-010000, and the legal description of lots 11 and block 39 of the original Helena town site, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the plat filed under document number 32-83738 with the condition that a building permit must be obtained within 1 year.
I would second.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? Okay.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, and I will move to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to reduce the front line lot line setback along the southern property boundary from 10 feet to 4 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at 105 North Warren Street, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-312-46-010000, and the legal description of lots 11 and block 39 of the original Helena town site, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the plat filed under document number 3283738, with the condition that a building permit must be obtained within 1 year.
I would second.
Any further discussion? Okay. April, if you'd.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries.
And I will move to deny a variance from section 11-4-2 to reduce the garage entrance setback along the western property boundary from 20 feet to 3 feet in an RO zoning district for the property located at 105 North Warren Street, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-312-46-010000, and the legal description of lots 11 and block 39 of the original Helena town site, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, as shown on the plat filed under document number 3283738.
I would second.
Any further discussion? I'm seeing none. April.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good evening, Board. For the second item this evening, we have 1913 Leslie Avenue. Consideration of a variance from Helena City Code Section 1142 to reduce the side lot line setback from 8 feet to 1 foot for a structure located in an R2 zoning district with the address of 1913 Leslie Avenue, the geocode of 051-887-23444220000, and legally described as Lot B of the amended plat of lots 3 through 12 in block 173 of the syndicate addition to Helena, as shown on the certificate of survey filed under document number 460738E, records of Lewis and Clark County, Montana. Reason for this variance is to bring a prefabricated shed that was placed on the property into compliance with zoning regulations. Here is the satellite image. It is on the south side of Leslie Avenue between Jocelyn and, I keep forgetting this, Linden Street on the east side there. It is in, as you see, R2 with B2 adjacent across the alleyway. A history of applicable permitting action. In 1989, there was a sewer tap permit. In 1998, there was a sewer inspection. And in 2016, this was part of the West Side annexation into the city through Resolution 20243. Here is the site plan showing the location of the dwelling and the shed on the property, previous and the new one on the that's being added. This is reverse from the satellite image before, so north is down here. And here is the more detailed showing the location of the shed on the northeast corner here where it's being located. It's approximately 25 feet off the front property line, but at its closest, it is only just over a foot from the east property line. Here's the plat of the neighborhood showing the property dimensions. Here is the site. You can see the shed sort of tucked in there behind the trailer in the truck there in this photo. And then here is another shot showing it behind the trailer. Here's just some general context of the area along Jocelyn and everywhere. Other relevant conditions, as this is only fairly recently annexed into the city, there are numerous structures that are basically built right at the property line. The photos on the top are across the street. Around it, as you can see, the photo on the bottom left is the property to the west is very close. As you can see in the previous property photo here, the property to the east is also about equidistant off the property line, all of which predate annexation into the city. Purpose of the variance, this will serve the following purposes: to bring a prefabricated shed into compliance with zoning regulations. As this shed is 240 square feet, it would require a building permit, as this board has seen numerous times. It's a prefabricated shed that was installed by the shed company without real concern of zoning code or building code. To some degree, no fault of the homeowners that these shed companies operate without following our city regulations. The purpose of this, we'll talk about this. Building walls less than 5 feet from the property line are required to be 1 hour fire resistant rated construction from both sides. Projections less than 2 feet are not permitted. Projections less than 2 feet to less than 5 feet from the property line are permitted to be 1 hour on the other side, or heavy timber, fire retardant treated wood. The applicant has been in conversation with the building department about the requirements of what will be needed to bring this into fire rated with the sheetrock on the inside and everything. Engineering, fire, and utility provided no comment. Transportation stated, although the proposed building is being called a shed, it will be used as a garage and must conform to the minimum 20-foot setback from the property line. It is sort of being used as a garage. It's not storing a car, it's storing a sort of scaled version. The applicant will be able to describe it better. It's more in a golf cart size. It's sort of a fancy scale show car. Regardless of which, based on that site plan, the entrance of the shed is about 25 feet from the property line. Then as of today, one comment in support has been received. It was attached to the staff report that you had in the packet before. So with that, The recommended variance motion, variance from Helena City Code, section 1142, to reduce the side lot line setback from 8 feet to 1 feet for a structure located in R2 zoning district with the previously mentioned address and legal description. Thank you for your time, board. Are there any questions at this time?
I just want Kyle, how did this project, because this seems to if you go around the city, you would see this condition a lot of places. How did this one come within the city's purview?
So this one came to my attention through an anonymous note that was left under the door to the county, to the former county planning director, that just stated that a structure was built at this address without a permit.
Thank you.
Any further questions for Kyle?
Mr. Holland, I have a question. Is the shed on a foundation or is it on skids?
Thank you, board. At present, it is not on a foundation. That has been part of the conversations with the building department regarding the building permit requirement that it will have to be on a more permanent slab or footing condition.
Thank you, Chair. I had a similar question, and maybe first a process question for you, Mr. Holland. If the variance is not approved, the shed has to go away. But if the variance is approved, this shed still needs a building permit to come up to standards. Is that correct?
Thank you, board. Yes, that is correct. If the variance is not approved, the shed does not necessarily have to be removed, but it'll have to be relocated from its present location.
Okay.
Or the applicant has talked about some alterations they could maybe make that would move just part of it. That's not necessarily a feasible option, but exploring all options if the variance was not passed. If the variance is approved, yes, it will still require a building permit and inspections for the fire rated condition and the foundation.
Okay. And then a second question. When is a shed and when is it a garage? And how is that determined? Is that a fun question?
That becomes sort of a degree of intent and also size. This structure, as being 240 square feet, requires a building permit. Structures that are under 200 square feet for a residential property do not require a building permit. So those would definitely be considered a shed by definition. On things like this, and it was actually a conversation I had with someone regarding the last project as well. The city has previously accepted things that outwardly sort of look like a garage if the overhead door does not provide sufficient space to move a car in and out. Specifically, sort of over in the commercial area, like between Cedar and Custer, there was a barber shop that wanted to have the garage door aesthetic. And so the option but there was no way they could meet the 20-foot setback. So the option that was given to them was that they were only allowed to have a 6-foot wide overhead door, because then that would not provide sufficient capability for storing a car. I do not know the exact dimensions of the garage or the door on the shed. The applicant may be able to answer that, but that tends to be some of the dividing line there.
And then a follow-up, one last one. To repeat what you said, it did meet the setback for if it was a garage from the front.
Yes.
Okay.
Regardless of the definition, it is about 25 feet. And as you can see in the photos here, like that trailer is fully between the shed and the property line. So you can see that, yes, there is a sufficient distance provided there.
Any further questions for Kyle? Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Applicant like to present?
Rob Kirkland, I own the property. I'll answer any of your questions.
What's the size of your garage door?
The size of my garage door, 6 foot wide and 7 feet tall.
I'm also just curious about the car,
About what?
the show car.
Oh, it's like a little mini woody wagon that's built on a golf cart chassis. It's something for me to get around with when my back, because I've got a really bad back that's just going to continue to get worse. So it's what I got for me to get around with. But it's built on a golf cart chassis. It's just I don't golf, so it's made to be like a little woody wagon. So, but it's, having all the wood, it can't live outside or in its trailer. It's got to be in a more controlled environment.
I have no questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I don't have any questions either.
What's that?
I don't have any questions either. Thank you for presenting.
Thank you.
Is there any public comment?
For the record, we still have no members of the public online.
All right. I'm gonna open it to board discussion. I don't see anybody coming to present. So I'm gonna open it. I know I already said it, but for the record, I am opening it for board discussion now.
Madam Chair, I'll start. I don't see any issue with this. I think that the issues are going to be more with the building permit side of things, for kind of the safety factors on that. I do feel like this does not seem like a garage to me. It seems more like a storage for a UTV more than anything else. The public comment that was received was from the neighbor that would be impacted by it. Also, another mitigating factor, and they were in support of it. And then also the other mitigating factor for me is that if he was to want to use it as a garage, it may meet that requirement as well with the setback. So I don't have any issue with this, and I would approve this motion if we vote on it.
I would agree with what Brian just said, so I won't try to eloquently say anything else.
Echo their comments, and it seems fitting to the neighborhood. Lots of similar sheds and storage areas close to property lines.
Once again, we're kind of all on the same page. We're gonna open it for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a variance from Helena City Code 11-4-2 to reduce the side lot line setback from 8 feet to 1 foot for a structure located in the R2 zoning district with the address of 1913 Leslie Avenue in the geocode of 05188723444 22000 and legally described as Lot B of the amended plat of lots 3 through 12 in Block 173 of the Syndicate Addition to Helena, as shown on a certificate of survey filed under document number 4607 Tree 8E, records of Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with the condition that a building permit must be obtained within 1 year.
I second the motion.
there any further board discussion? I'm seeing none.
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good evening, Chair and board members. Our third and final item for this evening is 405 Washington Drive. For consideration of a variance from section 1142 to reduce the front lot line setback along the western property boundary in an R2 zoning district from 10 feet to 6 foot 6 inches for a property with the address of 405 Washington Drive, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-293-100-1000, and the legal description of the west 45 feet of lot 16 of block 16 of the Flowery addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. And the reason for this variance this evening is to construct an entryway addition to the current residence. So here we have the zoning map of the property location on the corner of Washington Drive and 8th Ave. To the south is PLI zoning in the Capitol building. Majority of the zoning surrounding the area is R2, single family. History of applicable permitting action: 1955 was the earliest permit for the building construction. 1982 to 95, there were permits approved for a new deck, electrical, plumbing, and a re-roof. Here's an image of the proposed site plan. However, here's an enlarged image that may help. And I do want to point out, we're focusing on the foyer circled in red for this variance specifically. Because there's also the proposed addition, but that does not qualify for the a need of variance. These are the site renderings. Shown as the plat. Here's the existing site looking north. And I wanted to get this shot essentially to point out this is a 70-foot right-of-way. It's not as common as 60-foot right-of-ways. Therefore, typically your curb, gutter, boulevard, and sidewalk comes out to 15 feet. And you come over a foot from the sidewalk. For this one, we're coming back 5 feet from that. So that affects the property boundary for this case. Surrounding area buildings, single family dwellings, as well as a couple of state buildings and the Capitol building as well, ranging from being constructed in late 1800s to mid 1900s. Other relevant conditions, I was just pointing out that these images might help visualize how much the foyer would stick out. Purpose of the variance is to allow the construction of a foyer addition and covered entryway. The addition will improve the facade of the home as well as livability for the homeowner. Building, engineering, fire, public works, and planning had no comment. Transportation had the comment of maintain site distance triangle. Proposed additional bedroom suite must not block 50 feet site distance triangle as per city code section 737. However, this comment will be addressed during the building permit process due to the fact that that bedroom addition is not involved with this variance. Public comment as of Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. There has been one written public comment received in favor of the project. And variance motion to approve or deny a variance from section 1142 to reduce the front lot line setback along the western property boundary in a R2 zoning district from 10 feet to 6.5 feet for a property with the address of 405 Washington Drive, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-293-100-10000, and the legal description of the west 45 feet of lot 16 of block 16 of the Flowery addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana. With the condition, a building permit must be obtained within 1 year. At this time, we'll take any questions.
Is there other examples of this in the neighborhood with the entry closer than the 10 feet?
Thank you, Chair and board members. Chair Eggline, yes, however, I do not have them in this PowerPoint. But they were in the staff report. I provided the addresses in the staff report. However, looking back, yes, I should have provided those in this PowerPoint presentation.
Any additional questions, comments?
Madam Chair, I have a question. Mr. Goodrich, I did not see the public comment in the resources. I was just looking online. I didn't see it, so I was wondering if you happen to have that or available.
Mr. Top, I do not have a copy of the public comment. I can get that to you after this meeting. However, there was notification sent out digitally via email.
Okay, and it was in favor?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I believe the resident is here this evening.
I don't have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Goodrich.
All right, thank you for your presentation. Does the applicant like to come aboard or come up to the mic and present, please?
My name's Paul Jenkins, and I'm the builder. And we worked on this design together. And looking at the neighborhood, I mean, one important piece of this is that actually, you know, there still is a 10-foot. The 10 feet is maintained from the sidewalk edge. It's a Flowery addition, you know, 1898, 55 it was built. you know, it's kind of the typical jimble jamble all over Helena. But, you know, since it was built at 62 feet from sidewalk to sidewalk, the right of way encroaches 4 feet on each side, or doesn't encroach, but extends 4 feet on each side. So the variance that we're looking for isn't very big. It still maintains a 10-foot setback from the sidewalk, but the right of way extends an extra 4. But what that does is it creates a perpendicular entrance to the house, and at the top of the driveway apron, there's, you know, pretty good grade. So it gives the ability for them to age gracefully in the house, to be able to have a flat section of that upper driveway that extends through a flat covered entrance into that door. So I think we tried hard to maintain the flavor of the neighborhood, and we actually have the building permit. We replaced some sewer line today and got all the rough plumbing done and everything. So, I mean, we're going forward. So I have the main permit, and then, you know, we clouded this and just kind of put a pin in it to find out what would happen with FOIA. So that is pretty much the progression on it.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
Ms. Jenkins, thank you for the clarification on the access point from the driveway. That's helpful.
Thank you.
Good, thank you. Any public comment?
Members of the board, my name is Howard Heffelfinger. I live at 1312 8th Avenue, which is 3 houses down from the property at issue. I have very little to add to the public, to the written public comment I submitted. We are very happy to see the renovation of this residential property. And when I say we, I can only speak for myself, but I think I can speak for many of my neighbors since I know them pretty well. And the variance that is requested is admittedly a very minor one, but we are extremely sensitive to any variance that is requested for our neighborhood, given the unique nature of our neighborhood. We live between totally non-conforming residential uses. The state capitol complex abuts up to the very edge of our neighborhood to the south. And to the north, we have the commercial uses along 11th Avenue. So there have been a number of attempts to encroach into our neighborhood with non-conforming residential uses. And in every case, the City Planning Division and the Commission have supported us. And I know that's really not an issue here, but I have very few chances to thank the city for the support it's given us, so I'll do it here. We are very happy to see the renovation that is occurring to this home at issue. And we look forward to the completion of the renovation and to our new neighbors moving in whenever they can do it. So, thank you.
Hello. I'm Richard Seitz. I live, I think, in the first and second lot of Block 16 of the Flowery Edition. And we have 2 houses there. And in our neighborhood, we've been trying to maintain the residential area of a small area by the Capitol, because we really do appreciate the beauty that it adds to the Capitol, I think, to see houses close to it. And I was happy that this house, which previously had been owned by the Family Foundation, and they had hoped to turn it into a giant building for commercial purposes, I was very happy to see that it was sold to somebody new who is reflecting on the residential neighbor or area, the residential nature of the neighborhood. And I do support the changes. It looks like a nice addition, and the house is going to be well maintained based on what we've seen so far. Thank you.
For the record, we have no one online still.
Gonna make another call for general comment. I'm seeing none. I'm gonna open it for board discussion.
I'll start this time. Thank you. This does seem like a minor variance, especially with the large or the maybe abnormally large right of way. And so, I appreciated hearing the public comment from the residents in the area that they are glad to see that the property is staying residential. And I don't know the correct language to use, but I know that in some of our land use plans, there's comments about aging friendly houses. And I'm glad to see that that is part of the plan as well. So I would be in support. Thank you.
I agree with Commissioner Gustafson's comments, so I'll be in support as well.
I too will be in support of this. I very much appreciate it.
Do like nights when we're all on the same page, so I'll open it up for a motion.
I'll move to approve a variance from section 11-4-2 to reduce the front lot line setback along the western property boundary in an R2 zone district from 10 feet to 6'6" for a property with the address of 405 Washington Drive, Helena, Montana 59601, the geocode of 051-888-293-100-10000, and the legal description of the west 45 feet of lot 16 of block 16 of the Flowery addition to the city of Helena, Lewis and Clark County, Montana, with the condition they must obtain a building permit within 1 year.
I will second.
Any further board discussion? Seeing none, April, will you call?
Chair Eggline,
Aye.
Vice Chair Tholt,
Aye.
Commissioner Gustafson,
Aye.
Mr. Top.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Great. Thank you, presenters and general public for comments. I'm going to open it up for general comment now, or do we do that at the very end after we talk about new?
So general
Yes.
public comment is
Okay, thank you.
this point in the agenda.
See, Tim, you could totally do. I'm seeing none. Any general comment?
For the record, we still have no members of the public online.
Okay, April, any announcements, upcoming meetings?
So we will be having a meeting in April. We currently have one item. Don't know about May yet. May is our last scheduled meeting before this board will go away. But otherwise, that's it.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? None.